Welcome to Z.E.R.T's Information Highway for all you members on the road or on the run. The mission of this podcast is to relay relevant information from training guns and gear to mindset, motivation, and self-preservation from subject matter experts. So sit back, open your mind, crank the volume, and for more information, log on to ZERTNation.com. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Primary Weapon Systems, PWS.
What's going on, Z.E.R.T Nation? It's XP001 here. Welcome to our first Z.E.R.T broadcast, brought to you by Primary Weapon Systems, PWS, one of our big sponsors for Z.E.R.T training. Don't forget to stop by primaryweapons.com. We're here for Shotshow. It's our first podcast. We have a very unique moment. We have Z.E.R.T instructor Mr. KG that we're going to talk with today about various little topics. So, few of you have had the opportunity to be on the range with KG, so he's always in and out and about. So any opportunity that we do get to get him on the roster to teach a class, if you see it on there, take advantage of it. You won't be disappointed. So basically right now, I'm going to turn it over to instructor KG.
Hey, how's it going, Z.E.R.T Nation? KG here for you guys that don't know me. I'm an Army dude by nature. Spent about a little over 20 years now in the U.S. Army and Special Forces between a couple different organizations. Currently trying to take on a somewhat retired posture, whatever that means, in the near future. I'm going to sit here and go over some questions that XP001 has for me and try and identify or answer some questions or ideas that maybe you guys have sent to him or that he has in his mind that he would like me to cover. So turn it back over to him.
All right. So the big thing is really breaking down who are our Z.E.R.T instructors and why do they do it? Bottom line.
Well, I think it's a good question. It's important to know your cadre and your instructors. I mean, you're paying your hard-earned money to come out and receive some quality training. And I'd be remiss if I tried to speak for everybody, so I won't. But what I will say is that, from the different companies that I've worked for and organizations that I've worked for and with, that Z.E.R.T has an incredible pool of instructors with a robust background. I would put them against I guess what you'd call more established training companies, being that Z.E.R.T has obviously much more than training going on. But
why would they want to be associated with something called Zombie Eradication Response Team? Literally.
Well, I mean, I've known you for a long time. I think a lot of these guys, there's a personal piece to it where we feel comfortable working with XP001 and there's not a lot of hype and glamour about it. I think there's a lot of guys that just want to get out there and train with folks and teach them something that's not a brand or a gimmick. I don't think you're going to get a Z.E.R.T brand of anything. I think you're going to get individual aspects on training tactics, techniques, and procedures that are experience-based, both institutional experience-based, but they don't belong to Z.E.R.T or belong specifically to that instructor. I wouldn't say that we're held to any sort of specific doctrine through Z.E.R.T, and that's important. We're not selling so much the brand on the training as we're selling real-world, institutional, and experience-based knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, which I always touch on is, guys will go, hey, should I take the same class twice? Well, it depends on who's teaching it, right? Different backgrounds, different experiences, different SOPs or operating procedures, and they may relay the information differently, right?
Well, absolutely. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, everybody's obviously coming from one of the tribes, the soft tribes, or some sort of governmental agency that is soft specific in nature, and that you are going to get between the same course ran twice between two instructors, you may get a little bit of different techniques, but it's all going to be principally based. As it pertains to a technique, I can't imagine any of the instructors that I've worked with within Z.E.R.T teaching something that was so wazoo that it wasn't principally based. And I think that's what you need to stick with whenever you look at something. Is this principally based? This isn't just something that I'm not going to air out any mainstream instructors or anything like that. But you see a lot of techniques out there, and that's good. But you should always look back and go, okay, so what is this principally based upon? And everybody that I've worked with in the Z.E.R.T instructor community is a very solidly principle-based instructor and operator.
Okay. And as far as, our majority, we have a pretty diverse, background of cadre, but most of them come with, a similar background as yourself, and you've known them. We've all vetted and known each other. It's kind of like the 6 degrees of Seven Bacon, right? Or Kevin Bacon.
Seven Bacon's even better.
Bacon. Too much sauce.
That's my gang name, by the way. Seven Bacon.
Seven Bacon. But no, and I think there's something to be said about, guys with, that come from your background, why they're so appealing from the instructor standpoint.
Well, I think you get guys that are used to working outside the box, and there's a certain amount of flexibility that you get with a Z.E.R.T instructor that's, I'm not saying that's not for other companies, I'm just saying specifically within Z.E.R.T, I think that we have flexible training, flexible venues. You're going to see things and get to do things that you may not within the constraints of safety and real-world application. There's some stuff you're not going to see. All of us have been exposed to some tactics, techniques, and procedures that we're just not willing to share, or that we're allowed to share, but we can extrapolate from that and give you something that's as close as possible to that, based on the principle that it was founded on. And a lot of people, and again, I'm not trying to by any stretch to badmouth anybody, I'm just speaking in general terms. A lot of times people are just regurgitating things that they got from other courses. And I think with a lot of the Z.E.R.T instructors that have such a robust, knowledge of the subject matter, I think they're able to, like I said, extrapolate that information and tailor it to you guys in a way that you're getting the benefits of it without exposing anything that's sensitive in nature.
Anything out there that you would say to the naysayers, the guys that just don't understand, why we use, color code names or nicknames, etc.?
Why we do?
Yeah.
Oh, look, man, a lot of the guys are still working. I'm still working at, like I said earlier, I'm getting ready to retire. It's not important. The name isn't important. Look, spend the money, come out, do some training, and see what you think. We've trained with a bunch of guys already, whether they were law enforcement or military guys, that thought that they were just coming on board with something that was going to be something they'd already seen before, more of the same. And what I would say is that couldn't be further from the truth, and that all those things that I cited earlier about the flexibility and all that sort of stuff, again, we're not here to sell a brand. We're not here to sell a can I cuss on this thing?
Yeah,
can I cuss?
Yeah.
Sell you some sort of catch me, fuck me technique, some doodad that, somebody's out there teaching. I don't know any other way to put it other than that I'm vouching for the guys that work for this organization. If you don't like the marketing model or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to. I'm just saying.
Good point.
Come out to the range, see what's going on, figure it out.
Prove us wrong.
I'm all about it. You wanna call bullshit on me? I'm game for it anytime. Definitely not trying to go down the tough guy road. I'm just being honest with you. If they don't like the marketing model, then that's okay, man. Like, I don't know what anybody has to prove. If I'm out here doing it with the rest of these guys, and after the time that they've spent and doing the jobs that they've done, I'm not sure why you would want to blast it. I would just say, hey, throw a couple bucks down, bang for your buck. I'm not trying to talk money or any of that sort of stuff. I'm just saying that bang for your buck compared to some of the other courses you're going to get. I look at these things all day long. You're not going to get a stronger cadre or pool of instructors for your money that are willing to teach the things or have the knowledge base or experience to teach you things as close to reality as possible as you're going to find with Z.E.R.T. And that's just kind of how it is.
And it's a good point, because like when I first started, we were running a course down in Arizona, and the guy's probably listening to this right now. You know, he took the course, and it was at Scottsdale Gun Club. Small, you know, it was a 6 or 8 hour clinic. It was our NSW, Naval Spec Warfare shooting package that we had. And after the course, he came up to me. He's like, well, actually, after the course, we had our AAR back in the classroom. And he raised his hand. He's like, I owe you an apology. I'm like, for what? He goes, I came to this class to take it and bash you on ARFCOM because I thought we were training for zombies and shooting zombie targets. And after being through this course, like, I realized it was legit. The drills were legit. The curriculum. He's like, you know, I feel my skill sets improved. So I just wanted to openly say that in front of everyone here that I apologize. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, so like someone actually would pay that and just to have content to put on the forum. You know, back then social media was just, you know, growing, but that's happened repeatedly. A lot of dudes, you know, come up because they, you know, want to see what we're about or don't know what we're about, but they say the same thing at the end, man. Hey, it was great stuff. I learned something new. The training's legit. And, you know, that's the big thing, guys. If you're listening to this and you're still skeptical, get on ZERTnation.com. Get on YouTube. Get on fucking Facebook. Watch our videos. See what we're about. You know, we're just using this as a fun tool to relay this information to like-minded individuals, to the average Joe. I'm not going after the fucking 5,000 super high-speed guys that fucking know it all, which they should know that they were there at one point too. We all were, right? Like, we all started fucking somewhere, man. Like, get off your fucking high horse, because we're, even with 20 years ago, you're at where that dude's coming in right now, so why fucking bash him, you know?
Well, I think too that, you know, you come out to any training venue, and I don't know anybody who's so good that, you know, can't come out to the range and do whatever training's being prescribed. I mean, it may not be exactly what you're looking for in particular, I guess in some cases. But like, God, I mean, we've talked about in the past, like zeroing your rifle. It's amazing how many times I go out on the range with whomever, and guys don't have their rifles zeroed, and they don't know what their holdovers or hold unders are at certain ranges with their primary weapon systems and kind of kit setup and all these little things that it, you know, a wise guy, I don't think I made it up by any stretch, but I think a much wiser guy than I did said, you know, don't grade your own homework, right? So like, you know, you go out on the range and you're like, shit, man, I had a great day on the range. I crushed it. And you're like, maybe did, but maybe didn't, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe your marksmanship was good, but there was a bunch of procedural stuff or weapons handling, you know, kind of stuff that was wrong. Or it's like going to the gym, and if you don't keep track of your stuff at the gym, you're like, I had a great day today. Well, did you? Compare it to your last workout or the one before that. Like, did you have a good day? So when guys,
measure, right?
yeah, so when guys come out and they're like, well, I wanted this, wanted that. Like, that's cool, but like, again, going back to the bang for your buck, man, you're not going to go wrong with coming out to the range. Any day on the range is a good day, and then to have somebody else kind of come through and externally kind of critique you and talk about the finer points or refine some of your TTPs is never a bad day. And I agree 100% with Aaron in that, you know, guys that, you know, they want to shoot this down, and I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know how to kill a zombie. I mean, I get it. Like, I've seen the movies too, you know, but what I can teach you how to do is to, you know, reduce a threat through whether that's close quarters battle or it's just refining the basics on the flat range, and trying to help you tailor that to your specific needs. I mean, we could show up to a range and we could have former soft guys, former military guys, current military. We could have all these guys out on the range, and we can't. No course on the face of the planet can tailor one curriculum to every participant there. You have a course of instruction you're going to teach, and they get in where they fit in. But I think we do that in a manner and with enough time and instructors to tailor the technique to you. If you pull us off to the side and we talk about, or during breaks we talk about, like, hey, this is my mission set, or this is what my perceived threat is. This is what I'm looking at, and say, well, you know, that last drill we did, or, you know, and I try and articulate that before every drill through instruction and demonstration if time permits. And hopefully we get that out to the guys. A lot of times it just, you know, you might have that question, you know, pull me off to the side. I think what's the last class I did is...
Well, I want to bring that up because we did Colorado. So we went out and did, you know, Colorado was 2-day? Or
2-day.
2-day? Yeah. Was it? I can't remember, man. No, it was a 2 days. We spent the night.
Yeah, we stayed the night in the hotel.
Yeah. So,
and you got a little handsy with me, but
yeah. Hey, that's how it works. But hey, man, the big thing that I want most members to take away is understand their capabilities or their shortfalling. So that second day, I think we had 20 plus dudes on the line, and we had them shoot a slow fire bullseye drill from 50, right?
Yep.
And it was pretty bad. And the key thing is, we're not there to go, haha. It was a realization. These guys go, and we did that, the 25 meter slow fire, 25 meter aggregate with a handgun.
Well, we had to re-zero those guys before we even started training day one, and go back over it. And I think, what I was trying to push, and I think you echoed it, or maybe you said it and I echoed it, was that this is where you're at right now. Shooting is an absolutely objective thing. There's no subjectivity to it. You can have excuses, you can say what you want, but you're going to punch holes through paper, and those bullets go where that machine that you're holding, puts them. There's no I guess subjectivity is the best word I can think of. There's no subjectivity. It's that is what it is, which I hate that expression. It is what it is, but that is what it is at that moment. So even if you have a bad day, you have a good day, you have whatever kind of day you have, that is where you're at right that moment. And I'm going to make you own that. And it's not to be mean or whatever. Like, I have good days, I have bad days, but that is where you're at right that second. If you encountered a threat that day on that range that wasn't a fucking E-type silhouette or a piece of paper, that was what you were capable of. And you should make note of that. Yeah. Good, bad, right, wrong, and different. That is where you're at. And it's, if it needs improvement, and I would almost every time say that it needs improvement. I don't care how good you are. You can always get faster, more accurate, more fundamentally correct in your procedurals. But that's the sort of thing that we're trying to get after. I'm not just going to line you up there and be like, do this drill because KG said so. Challenge me. Well, what about this, vice that? What about, if I want to do, what about that? And understand there's only so much time on the range to do so many tasks with so many people. I'll try and field those questions, but I would also say that most of the curriculum or most of the drills are designed around answering multiple questions versus just something super static for a certain requirement. Does that make sense? That's a lot of words.
Yeah, no. And I think when we shot that, and I just done this at the executive protection pistol course in California, was I made him, hey, you got 30 seconds to fire 10 rounds of, from the compressed ready into I think it's a 10-inch bull. 10-inch bull, which, is, it's not easy. So after those guys, they had 30 seconds, slow fire, all the time in the world. They go up there, and it looks like shotgun patterns on all their targets. And they're just like, oh, man, I suck, blah, blah. It's like, no, now you know your limitations. That's 25 yards. Yeah. If you're in a mall, a parking lot, know your limitations, be accountable for every round you throw down range. But now we know what we need to work on. We know what we need to focus on. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's easy as instructors to, you show up on the range with your pedigree or whatever, and you're the expert. But the reality is, if you're on that range, you're not with the assault force training, right? So that means the other, 90% of my life is spent carrying a gun in public, doing what I consider to be due diligence as a guy that's qualified to carry a pistol and employ it safely, is tailor that training to you at that time. And what I mean by that is not just the drill, but what is your environment? I kind of hit this earlier. When do you feel like you're going to use that, or when you perceive that you may be using that training, and know that that's where you're at, man. Like a lot of people would say, I saw a guy in a mall, I'm out there with my family, my kids, and he's some sort of threatening action, or he has a weapon or whatever. I would do this. Well, okay, no, I agree. I'm not judging whether you should or shouldn't do it, or why you're doing it, but what are you capable of doing at that point, right? And I think that's important for us to do. A lot of times we go out on the range and we do a lot of close quarters marksmanship, for example. The range doesn't go much past 25 meters typically. It's pretty easy to engage those targets and with relative accuracy. But the reality is, is that really the case? Is it always going to be within 25 meters? Is it under no stress? I mean, a pro timer is stress, I guess, but is it really stress? Is it dark? Is, limited visibility? There's the real threat of life or death. You have other people in the environment that you're accountable for, maybe not just your family, but other people in the area. I mean, what can you really do if you have to do that? Because the reality is we're not in an assault force. We don't travel around in an assault force every day. Even guys that are on an assault force don't travel around an assault force every day. They have real lives, right? And that, to me, is almost borders on more important, right? Because if you have a job, it is important. But also day to day, traveling with your family, traveling by yourself. If you're carrying a gun concealed, like, you have a responsibility to the public as a citizen, an armed citizen, to do the right thing and not harm people. So that's what I talk about when I'm saying, hey, where are you at right now? It's not because I think you're going to go into into Mosul or Coast or one of these places, start getting into a gunfight. I'm saying, like, day to day, when you strap that pistol on and you walk out the door, are you the right guy for the job?
Knowing your capabilities, I think that's a huge thing. Is guys have this misconception, is like, oh, if that shit goes down, it's going to happen. I really think that I'm a proficient shooter, but the fact is, if I don't do it for a long time and I go out, and when I do go out, I shoot cold the 25-meter aggregate to see where I'm at. And every time I need to improve on it, regardless. I've been shooting for, over a decade, but it doesn't matter if it's combative shooting. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, you owe it to them around you to hone those skills, keep them fresh, because the key thing is, that's why we have the now drill, is what you can do right now, cold, not after a great day on the range, a bunch of dry fire. Like, what can you do right now?
Well, I think that too, when you go through any one of these marksmanship courses or, sniper course, whether, SODIC/CIFSIC or whatever course you go to at sniper, like, your cold bore shot is it. You got to know that cold bore. You have to, because there's no time in a threatening environment or combat environment to get a practice shot. Excuse me. It just doesn't exist. You line up on that thing and you shoot. And that's just, I'm using snipers as an extreme example, but even with your rifle, your pistol, whatever it is, like, when it goes down, it's not like, hey, let me get warm real quick. It just doesn't, that doesn't happen. And then actually take that to, hey, say your pistol is under 2 layers of clothes. You're walking through the mall with family. You're thinking about, going to get an Orange Julius or what, I don't know.
Shopping at that sale at the Gap.
I mean, that's weird, but I wouldn't do that.
Old
but
Navy. I'm sorry.
I'm an Old Navy man myself, but no, I'm just saying, like, that is where you're at. That's pulling that pistol, skinning it, and bringing it up, lining up your sights, and putting a well-placed shot on a known threat, and reducing it is really all of it. That first shot out of the holster is kind of all of it. And are you prepared to do that, and to what degree and under what circumstances? So it's tough.
No, and that whole thing is, when you say, are you prepared to do that, I think that's a big factor that people that carry, they have to come to terms with that will to kill. Not like the will to go out and fucking kill someone, but like have that understanding that, are they going to be down on that point to do it and live with the repercussions of a clean shoot? It's a clean shoot. They're still going to have to live with taking someone's life, or do they have that? Especially women too. A lot of men too, but women's like, I'm carrying a gun for my safety, but like, do you really have that intent to pull the trigger?
Well, and I would add that when is there, when's the right time to not pull the pistol? Just because that a gun is out, there are other circumstances involved in that situation. Like, how early do you expose yourself? Because if good guy, bad guy, whatever, you're scanning an audience of people and you see a gun come out, all of a sudden that focuses on you. Maybe you're not in the position to engage that person. Maybe it's moving your family and your safety, or your family and your kids or whatever, to a safe place, and then you maneuvering on that individual, and it's hard because there's no way to sit back unless you analyze all these shootings and we all fall victim in our mind that how it's going to go down, but the reality is you have no idea how or when it's going to go down, because the act in and of itself to go into some place and engage people, innocent people, is insanity. So to get in that frame of mind is near impossible anyway. So what you kind of have to do is be ready for all of that. But in doing that, we kind of have to go through multiple scenarios of when I should pull my gun, when I shouldn't pull my gun. Is it a maneuver and fire? Is it a fire and maneuver? Should I close the distance? Should I, I mean, it's a difficult situation, I would assume. I haven't, last time I checked, gone into a mall and gotten into a shootout with ISIS or whomever. I'm just speaking from other experience how I would apply that to a peacetime scenario in a civilian populace. It's tough. So all you can really do is get on the range and refine and hone all the basics down to a point where it's muscle memory. For lack of I know muscle memory. I don't want to get into that term, but
No,
but through repetition, through good repetition, that we employ our weapon systems in a safe manner, and ultimately we owe that to the citizens around us if we are carrying. It's just not good enough to put your what's that, the Molan Labby thingy or whatever the hell it is, put it on the back of your truck, and then you throw your pistol in there and you're like, I'm here to fucking fix the world. Well, no, it's not that. It's you knowing when, where, how, and why you're engaging a threat that is ultimately damaging to you, your family, or the populace.
No, that's a good point, and that's the biggest thing that I always harp on. I repeatedly say that you need to train to be able to run that gun at a basic level, at a subconscious level, so you can concentrate on the task at hand, which may be tactics, maybe that shot, maybe getting that angle, and that goes with combatives, because we always talk about when you first start driving a car, right? You're all nervous. You're 10 and 2, your blinkers, your head's on a swivel because it's not a comforting thing because it's new to you. Now, 20, 30 years later of driving, guess what? It's subconscious. You can talk on the phone, you can put your makeup on, you can eat, text, slap your kids, do whatever because you've done it so much. It's at a subconscious level, so you can kind of focus on other things. Shooting is no different, right? Because you can't, the biggest thing, and we'll get into CQB here in a second, but the biggest thing right now is guys will be like, oh, like there's no shooting the CQB course. I'm like, look, man, if you can't manipulate and navigate that muzzle in a safe direction at a subconscious level, that CQB class is going to be fucking irrelevant because it's going to be information overload, because you can't just be focusing on safety on, off, muzzle direction, right? When you're approaching a threshold, worrying about your corners, your points of dominations, opposing threat, dead space, communication, verbal, nonverbal, etc.
No, I agree. I mean, there's a million things going on inside your mind, and that's without any of the fear. And a lot of people would argue, and I would argue as well, that the closest thing you can get to really doing it is through competition, meaning that there are rules applied, there's a timer applied, and then there's the nature that you're competing against somebody. So I'm not trying to sell going out and doing IPSC, idpa, whatever your thing is. I'm just saying that if you really, and this ties back obviously into grading your own homework, if you really want to apply yourself and know how well you're doing, it's engage in these competitions. And don't really worry about if you're going to win or you're trying to get your grandmaster or whatever your thing that your goal is. The real goal ultimately, if you're a concealed carry guy or a law enforcement guy, open carry, whatever it is that you're being graded by somebody and you're put under some sort of stress, pressure to employ what you consider to be refined fundamentals, right? So tying back into what Aaron's saying is that all those fundamentals, all that stuff that we do, which some people use as muscle memory or whatever, really comes through practice. And then the application, because you don't just go into the mall looking for a gunfight, is that you go out to competition or you train with other people and have them look at you and put on your thick skin and say, hey, man, how'd I do? And when they say, you look like a bag of smashed assholes, don't get all butthurt or whatever. It's not, you step back and you say, okay, well, what did I do wrong? And if they're full of shit, maybe they are. But at least it's somebody saying, hey, man, this is what I saw. And if you hear it more than a couple times, it's probably true, right? Yeah. Like, if you go out every day and you say, God, everyone I ran into was an asshole. Well, just chances are you're the asshole. So listen to what people say. Take it with a grain of salt. But also, if you hear it more than a few times, it may be something you need to work on. And if it's on the pro timer and it's in your accuracy, I mean, you can't really argue that, right? Like, I mean, that's It's objective. That's what it is, man. The time was the time. The holes were the holes, and that's just how it is. And
Pro timer doesn't lie.
You can love it or hate it. Shut
He
up.
hates that saying. He hates it. So I'd say, but it's true. The pro timer doesn't lie.
But it's true. No, there's absolute truth to that. And but that's the reality of it, man. Is that you have to go up against something, whether it's a timer, whether it's actually, hopefully, a combination of both, or having an external greater judge that's running a pro timer and looking at your accuracy and making you own it, and that's kind of, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's the closest you're going to get, aside from going out there and getting into gunfights, which I don't advocate. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know who would do that, but maybe someone. But I don't know. That's
it. So hey guys, just want to thank you guys for tuning in to our first podcast, brought to you by Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. Don't forget to stop by primaryweapons.com. Give them a look over. Great quality stuff. XP001 and
KG
out.
The ZERT membership pack is your gateway to a worldwide organization dedicated to building a safe and trained community armed with the proper mindset to see you and your family through to safety. The first-year membership pack includes ZERT 702 black t-shirt, 5-inch ZERT 702 patch in PVC, your call sign and squadron assignment, ZERT membership certificate, official membership card with your call sign, 10 ZERT recruitment cards, access to discounts from ZERT-approved vendors, 15% off most ZERT merchandise year-round. In addition to the membership pack, once you join, you receive the following privileges: access to the ZERT forum and exclusive online videos, access to training events and special forces instructors, training cost is additional, members-only newsletter, admittance to over 90 private squadron and state Facebook groups, attend members-only events, participate in contests and giveaways. Join us today and get started meeting the members in your area. Privileges are just that and can be revoked at any time. Management reserves all rights. Facebook rules and regulations apply. ZERT, not just an organization, it's a lifestyle. ZERTNation.com.